Now, men and women are very little when confronted to the force of water. And that's what we're going to be finding out a bit more about right now as Enduro Kayaking Champion Nouria Newman joins us here on set. Good evening, Nouria.
Good evening.
Just before we talk about everything that you do, I just want to show the viewers if they can get a little bit of a taste of what you love and what you do. Here's what Nouria Newman gets up to when she's outside of the studio. Now, you're a 5 times world champion. You just returned from Colombia, where you won your last title. That's a discipline that's very different compared to what we see in the Olympics, because this is a course that's 7 kilometers long. What is it that made you want to leave those competitions for the white waters?
I raced slalom for many years, and I was struggling with results, and I was also like a bit struggling to be on artificial venue all the time, because I started kayaking to spend time in the outdoors and paddle rivers and be in the mountains. So I think the drift was quite easy for me to just go from concrete artificial venue that are great for the Olympics in racing to rivers that are free flowing and beautiful and just more variety, I guess.
And there's the competitions that you do, but then there's also the rivers where you go out for days, covering hundreds of kilometers. Is that where the thrill is now for you?
I feel right now I still compete, because now that I'm no longer in the French team or without a proper coach, it gives me structure, so I can plan my year, and it forces me to have like time where I have like goals and I focus on different aspects of training. But definitely the main drive these days is to go on rivers that I don't know, that have never been paddled, and try to kind of like solve the problem and find a way to make it downstream.
So tell us, what are some of the countries that you've been to recently?
Recently I was in Colombia. Last fall I was in Arunachal in India, which was great. I've spent a lot of time in Nepal. We went to Pakistan. That's where we shot our last movie, Big Water Theory, that we're screening now. Ecuador, USA, British Columbia, Canada.
And what is it? Because you go to these places where, I mean, you haven't necessarily been before. You've got to do all the reconnaissance before you go down them. How does that work? Because you've got to ensure that you're going to be safe.
You spend a lot of time on the computer, actually. I'm a pretty big Google Earth nerd. So I spend a lot of time just looking at satellite imagery, and then when I see something that I like, I just pin it, and then you check out the proper maps and you do the math and try to get like an idea with like the length of the river and the gradient, and you estimate the flow of the river, and then you get an idea of like, is this doable or not? Is it going to be really hard or not? And then you try to have a strategy with like the number of days that you're planning, but also trying not to be too heavy and stay light to move faster. And with all of that, it's kind of just like, this big problem solving that.
But you say that sometimes you have to decide whether you're going to, if it's too hard or not. What is your limit?
I found my limit in Ecuador a few years ago, where we choose a river that was really steep. And we had done rivers equally as steep in the US, but in a different environment that wasn't jungle with more exit option. And we really failed. So then we found the limit, and we had to stay 28 days in the jungle, where we planned to do everything in 16, and we did half of what we planned in 28, relying on helicopter foot drops. So we were being rescued. And so from that, I really took like a huge step back, and I'm slowly trying to start from the classics and not as ambitious progress to not have that happen ever again.
You also hold the record for the biggest fall for women's, is that right? 30 meters. There's a video of you falling down like that. I mean, what do you feel in the moments where you're going to go for it? I mean, your stomach must be back up there when you're
more on the landing, actually. The feeling is great. It's like experiencing free fall, but with a kayak. So you get like all of the kayaking complexity of having the line and set up everything in the current before the waterfall, and then you have that free fall element where it takes like a particular set of skills to not be like over the bar or flat, because otherwise you're gonna crash, and on the
'Cause
impact you can fall on your head. Yeah, if you don't have the perfect like body position, or if you rush things because you're stressed, usually you're gonna tweak your boat, and then the higher you get, the harder the impact is. So even if you land in water, if you're flat, you're gonna break your back. If you land on your head, probably you're gonna rip a knee because your knee is stuck in your kayak. If you tweak it, the ribs are exposed. So you really need to practice on smaller waterfall before you go on this waterfall. But what's kind of special is that you go from a horizon line. You know, imagine you paddle river and you don't see anything, and then you have that moment where suddenly your angle of your boat change and you start dropping. And waterfalls are just so pretty. That's why people want to take photos with them. But you're living that free fall and you see that rainbow. You know, if it's sunny with the spread, there's always a rainbow. And that's like the best feeling in the world, because it feels like time is slowing down and you're just like doing this crazy thing.
And once you're off the edge, I'm guessing there is no way back.
There's no way back.
So your documentary is coming out tomorrow here in Paris. Big water theory. Hope everything goes well and you have good screening there for it. Nouria Newman, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll be following, of course, what you do, because we